Good evening. Welcome into the Boulevard Brewing Company post-game drink after a 31-28 Missouri win over South Carolina. I'm going to give you guys the dirty little secret about what all of us in this business do. We try to get things done early. We always start writing. We always start putting shows together. We always start doing things sometime in the second half. Sometimes that's with 5 minutes left. Sometimes it's with a quarter and a half left, but we all start early. And then things like today happen. And the show you had and the story you had and whatever it is your job is to do pretty much gets thrown out the window in the last 6 minutes of a game that was supposed to be over. This was a win that shouldn't be overlooked. That is still the takeaway for the Missouri Tigers. But it sure didn't go down the way we all thought it was going to go down. We are going to talk about all of that. We're going to look at the numbers. We're going to take your calls, and I have a feeling I know what most of them will be about here on the post-game drink, which is brought to you every single week by Boulevard Brewing Company, and obviously located in Kansas City, just off 435. You can actually go to the brewery and take a tour and do all that. We certainly encourage you to do that. We've had some events there, but their products are also available in every grocery store and liquor store and gas station and every place that is worth anything that you can find anywhere near Kansas City and the state of Missouri. They have tons of different beers, and they're putting out new ones all the time. They have the Fling cocktails. They have the Quirk seltzers, and we encourage you guys to try any of those. Whatever your particular mood is, it is 6:30. I hope you all have a couple Boulevards lined up to give me a call and talk about this game. So let me read you the tweet I sent out with approximately, I'm going to guess 8 minutes left in this game. Something like that. I tweeted, it was 47 minutes ago, so it was at 5:25 p.m. Bigger, at least partial Mizzou redemption today. Steve Wilkes or Connor Bazelak? I'd vote Wilkes, and I don't think it was particularly close. That was sent with, like I said, somewhere around 8 minutes to go. Missouri was ahead 31-14. Literally 3 minutes later, Mookie Cooper fumbled. South Carolina recovered. Then 12 minutes after that, Missouri refused to cover Zaquandre White on a screen pass. He scored from 38 yards out. Still 31-21, 6:56 left. Not a big deal. 8 minutes later, Connor Bazelak threw, I don't know, guys. Was his arm hit? I don't know. We can talk about whether his arm was hit. We can talk about why Missouri was passing to begin with. We can talk about whether it just slipped. I truly don't know what happened. But he threw an interception. And then this is 21 minutes after I have tweeted about Wilkes and Bazelak being redeemed. 2 minutes after that, Zaquandre White scores again. It is 31-28. Missouri recovers an onside kick. Connor Bazelak is pulled from the game for Brady Cook. And now everything looks a whole lot different about the future. And we are going to talk about it all, guys. Let's take a look at the numbers before we open up the phone lines. I mean, it was the defense's best day of the season, especially when you consider that 14 of those points came directly off brutal Missouri turnovers. 250 total yards, less than 4 yards of play, 57 yards rushing. This was the 129th ranked rushing defense in America, and South Carolina is, they're not great, but they ran for 200 or 250 against Florida last week, and they're averaging 135 a game, so they're okay. They ran 35 times for 57 yards. Now, 50 of those were on the quarterback, negative 50. So 34 for 107. Even if it's that, it's 3 yards a carry, and it's Missouri's best run defense day of the year. You take away the sack yardage, and it's 35 carries for 57 yards and 1.6 per carry, and it's absolutely fantastic. So the Steve Wilks redemption part is not wrong. Oh, by the way, the defense scored a touchdown and forced 3 turnovers and probably should have gotten another one or two, except for some really strange officiating, to be quite honest with you guys. So the defense, good day. Tyler Badie, phenomenal day. As I tweeted, there may be better players in America. There are no more important players in America than Tyler Badie. 34 carries for 209, 6.1 per carry. 5 catches for 22. That is 231 yards on 39 touches. Missouri ran 69 plays, and Tyler Badie had the ball for 39 of them. I mean, he is this team. Without Tyler Badie, Missouri is, 1-9, I think. I think that's about where I'd go. It is simply, you cannot overstate how much Tyler Badie has meant to this team. And I think they're going to need him to make a bowl game, because I think we got a quarterback change coming. And we will talk all about that. We are going to open up the phone lines here. The number is 573-234-4935. You give me a call. I ask you 2 things. First of all, whatever device you are listening on, please put it on mute when you call me. Second, you're going to have to hang on the line. You're going to have to, let me get to you by calling out your area code. And it sometimes will take a minute. We have a lot of guys on hold sometimes. We're going to start in the 314 area code. Who am I talking to?
Dave, it's Nitro.
What's up, Nitro? How you doing, man? What's going on?
I'm well. I don't have any questions. I just wanted to share my thoughts and rant. The defense has gotten a lot better, and it's fun to see. I appreciate that. And they're not great, and they might not even be good, but they're no longer abysmal. And I don't know. I mean, I'm curious your thoughts on Wilks. When I'm done ranting, but he's no longer coaching for his job unless something continues to go correctly. It's he'll be the DC next year at this point, and that's not something that I would have thought in early October would be the case. And look, you said it. You're going to get a lot of calls about the quarterback situation, and I don't think anybody knows what the right decision is, and I think Drinkwitz is included. I mean, Bazelak didn't play great, but he made that throw in the first half to Mookie Cooper, and we've not seen Brady Cook or Tyler Macon do that in a game, and Bazelak has. Now he's also played like a bozo and hurt the team recently, and it's tough. You're going to get people that call in and say it's got to be Cook or it's got to be Macon. And you might have someone call in and say it's got to be Bazelak. I kind of doubt the personal call, but I don't think any of them really know. Thanks, Gabe. Love the show. Love your site.
Hey, Dave, this is Zach out in Denver. How you feeling? I'm pretty fired up after that win. I really got to say that I know the previous call just talked about Steve and how well that performance was. I wanted to give them a shout-out, more importantly to Steve. Really, since even game one, it seemed like the turnovers have been the difference for this team and really given the offense some more time to hold the ball as well as they can. Just impressed with the defensive performance here, and really I think we got a good shot at getting to a bowl. I'll hang up and listen here. Thank you.
I just realized I had myself on mute for that call, so let's go to the 815 area code. I'm back.
What's up, Gabe? It's Ron.
Hey, Ron, what's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. I may need a couple of Boulevard beats after that one. I'm going nuts in that last little sequence, especially after what I was just kicking back, enjoying the beatdown. I'm like, all right, are they going to burn it up to another score? And it's gonna be all like candy and rainbows in Como, but Badie, like, man, I was on this roller coaster with him. After that first interception in the first quarter, I was ready to bench him. And then, of course, he played pretty well, a couple of good balls, and then that. So I think I ultimately got the result I was looking for, that he's like bench. But, like that performance is in him, but at the same time, I don't know what happened with him. He just couldn't close out the game, or I don't know how to go back to him now.
No, I agree. And that's what I'm going to write when this show is over. You make that move with 4.5 minutes left, you're telling your quarterback you've lost confidence in him. I don't know how you go back to him. Now, maybe Eli Drinkwitz will. Maybe he will be able to say something to Bazelak to go back to him. But, look, that move with 4.5 minutes left, that's not about health. He was healthy enough to play the whole game. That isn't his hamstring. You're pulling him because you don't think he can win the game, and you think a guy who has played all of 34 snaps this year can win the game. And, look, he was right. Brady Cook did. And I don't know if Bazelak does, but I don't know how you go back after making that move.
Exactly. And, frankly, I think everyone else, I'm sure you could poke holes in some people's performance today, but I got to throw roses at a lot of people, and you did, just as you were wrapping up that last call with the D line and the linebackers. The secondary was opportunistic and probably should have had a couple more interceptions to their credit. The offensive line that was kind of held together by duct tape really performed well, and you can't say enough about Tyler Badie. That guy it's unbelievable. Can you put in perspective where he ranks in maybe the pantheon of modern Mizzou running backs?
Yeah, it's going to take a minute, but the year he's having is as good as any year, maybe since Devin West in 1998, honestly. That was my senior year at Mizzou, or the year after it, and Devin was a freak show, 1,532 yards, school record. Badie's going to have a shot at that record. He's got 2 more games, and I think he's at over 1,300 yards or right about 1,300 yards. So he's going to have a shot. He is having a hell of a year.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait to read all the coverage on PM. Thanks, as always, Gabe.
All right, Ron, appreciate it, man. And just want to give you guys a heads up. We have a ton of calls, so I'm going through them. But if you're on hold, you might have to hang out for a little while. Let's go to the 636 area code. Who's there? 636, you still with me? Okay, nobody from the 636. 602 area code, you still there? Everybody's quitting on me. We're moving through them. 573, you still here with us?
Yeah, I'm here, Gabe. It's Big Mike from Moberly.
What's up, Mike? How you doing, man?
I'm great, man. I'm great. I got to tell you, is it fair to say that Mizzou wins that game going away despite their quarterback play today?
I mean, he was part of getting them the lead, right? He had a bad pick to start, but then he throws a 60-yard touchdown. He managed the game, and I actually thought with 7 minutes left, I thought, hey, he's going to start the last 2 games, and here we are. And then just, an interception that you can't even explain. It was like, I don't know, he just dropped the ball or something. It was, and so now everything's different. So, yes, ultimately, they won the game in spite of the quarterback. It was closer than it needed to be.
I agree, but without that fumble, is it fair to say Mookie Cooper's fumble is the point where that game changed more than it is the quarterback?
That's actually a good point. That's a good point. Because Missouri's inside the 30-yard line. If he just doesn't fumble, Mevis makes a field goal to make it 34-14, right? That's all he has to do is hang on to the ball. It's 34-14. South Carolina maybe gets the ball back and drives 75 yards. I don't know, but You're right. So yeah, I don't want to lay it all on Basilak. Some of it has to go on Mookie Cooper's fumble. That's a great point.
Yeah, I do want to say that I'm in a car full of people, and we're driving a Big 12, and we're going to go eat a thicker kicker Mevis burger. Woo! Awesome, and we're pretty jacked about it.
All right, guys, we'll enjoy it, man. Have fun.
Thanks, Gabe.
All right, Mike. Appreciate the call, man. Okay, let's go next to the 918 area code. Who's with me down there? 918. You still here? No dice. Okay, we got the 301 area code. 301. You with me?
Hey, Gabe, how's it going?
Not bad. Who am I talking to?
You got Jacob in Washington, D.C. I appreciate you taking the call.
Yeah.
I wonder, everyone loves to ask me about Tyler Badie. I will do the same. Have you seen, or can you describe at all, the way Tyler Badie changed his body one season to the next? I think everyone knew he was explosive last year. I don't know if we knew he was this explosive and this durable. Have you seen literally a change in the way he has repaired himself game after game and the way he has potentially bulked up for the season?
Yeah, he talked about it before the season. I want to say he added 15 to 20 pounds. I can't remember if that's exactly the right number, but it was in that range. He did say he added weight because he knew he was going to be the guy and he was going to have to take on more of the responsibility and all that. So he deserves credit for that. And, how big of a difference do those 15 pounds make? I mean, could he have taken this pounding last year? I don't know. There's no way, obviously, for us to know. But the kid just, he should have an NIL deal with like Energizer or Monster Energy or something because he never really seems to get tired. And in the fourth quarter, nobody brings him down. I mean, the first guy never tackles Tyler Badie. It's really impressive.
And I think you had a caller ask about this as well, but I'd love to get your thoughts on that reconstituted offensive line today, especially when they went between man and zone blocking schemes. It seemed like different guys stood out. I think about the left tackle, I think Wood, and then the guy who replaced Bobby Lawrence, whose name I'm forgetting. I'd love to get your take on that reconstituted line.
Yeah, the left tackle would be Javon Foster, and I know Deuce McAllister shouted out Connor Wood as the pulling guard on quite a few of those. I mean, obviously Mike Maietti kind of has to anchor the whole thing. Xavier Delgado did a nice job. I think EJ and Doma Ogar spent some time in that game as well. And look, I've been pretty hard on that unit, and I've said the biggest thing separating Missouri from a good SEC team, in my opinion, is the offensive line. They controlled that game today, and I'm sure that's mostly what Drinkwitz will talk about after the game is they shoved South Carolina around. And, look, you don't have Tyler Badie, who is, I'm going to guess, probably second or third in the country in rushing. Like, he makes a lot of guys miss, but he can't do that all on his own, and that line does deserve a lot of credit.
And then finally, when we saw Brady Cook come in, I think, the situation in the Vanderbilt game, Eli Drinkwitz said, we went to Tyler Macon because, situational, i.e., because we're going to run the football. Mm-hmm. In a situation like that where it's very clear you're going to run the football again, Cook coming in, does that stand out to you over Macon?
It does in two regards. Number one, I think it's because Brady Cook showed he could run the ball at Georgia. And I think you have the threat that you might throw. You don't have that if you bring Macon in, I think. So I think it's that. I think he trusts Brady Cook. And, look, Brady Cook made some great decisions on that last drive. Sliding on the side of the field to stay in bounds, that saved Missouri, or it at least cost South Carolina a timeout. It might have cost him another 30 or 40 seconds. He knows when to hand the ball off and when to pull it. He did not look like a kid playing his third or fourth college football game to me, and I think he earned a lot of trust from Drinkwitz today.
Gabe, I appreciate the time. Thanks so much.
All right, Jacob, appreciate it, man. So, okay, we've got a bunch of callers lined up from the 314 here, so I'm just going to call out the last 4 digits of your number. I'm going to run through it. Let's go 7184. You on the line with me? Okay, drop that one. If the last four is 4833, you there with me? Nobody there. 6426, we got you?
Yeah. Hey, Gabe, I'm going to make just a couple points before the quarterback stuff. But, number one, I think you have to acknowledge tremendous improvement of the defense. You look at the Tennessee game, you look at the Georgia game, they're over in the first half of the first quarter. Good defensive play here. Second, how much more can you say about Badie? I mean, when you talk about most valuable player, that's who I'm pointing at. And then I'm going to ask you the last thing, then I'll shut up and just hang up and listen. But do you feel like Cook coming in the game, was that almost a punishment, as bad play and just sick of the turnovers? Or was it just him looking at how poorly executed that last throw was? Thank you very much. Love the website. Love the show.
All right, appreciate the call. And I think pulling Bazelak was a combination of those things. I mean, literally the only thing you can't do as the quarterback in that situation is what Connor Bazelak did. Throwing the ball off his center's leg would have been better. Running straight out of bounds would have been better. Running backwards out the back of the end zone for a safety would have been better. He literally did the one thing you can't do. And I think Drinkwitz finally just said, we can't have it, man. I don't trust the guy. I think that's what happened. He lost his head coach's trust. And when that happens, I don't know how you get it back. It's really, really tough. And that's why I'm saying I don't know if Bazelak comes back. We may have seen him start his last game today. Let's stay in the 314 area code, 6037. You with me? Okay, we do not have that, so we've got the 636 area code. You there?
Yeah, this is Steven.
What's up, Steven? How you doing, man?
Good. I just had 2 points. I was, watching that game and listening to you. I love your show. I tried to get back on the Bazelak bandwagon this game. That first pick was awful. And then, he had the few touchdowns, and I was like, okay, this is our guy for the next 2 weeks. We can do it with Badie running how he runs. That last pick, ended it. What I'm getting to is the throws he made tonight. I don't know that Cook cannot make those. It was a 5-yard here to Chisholm, this to Badie. Mookie Cooper beat those guys by 10, 15 yards. And then Cook also gives you the option to run. My second thought, and I would like to know your opinion on this, the D-line looks like they're winning at the line of scrimmage now. I don't know if they're doing something different. I see they're loading the box, but the D-line has changed something to where they're winning the battle up front, and that's why, it's opening. So I'd like to hear what you have to say on that.
I totally agree with you there. The defensive line, look, we want to look for all these reasons, right? We spent 7 weeks. Steve Wilkes isn't doing this right, and they don't understand where to be, and you know what? The last 2 games, you know what guys have done? They beat the guy in front of them. And sometimes football's not really that complicated. Beat the guy in front of you and the defense looks better. Trajan Jeffcoat has showed up. Darius Robinson has shown up. Isaiah McGuire has shown up. These guys have started to make plays that weren't making plays. Now, it's not just that, right? I mean, Chad Bailey has made a difference at linebacker. Blaze Aldridge is a different player than he was 6 weeks ago. Devin Nicholson is playing less. I think that matters. So all of that matters, but more than anything, the defensive line is beating their guy more than they used to. And I agree with all that. And I actually agree with you on Brady Cook. He might be the best quarterback on this roster right now. I mean, I'd certainly start him next week against Florida because now I don't want to take away. Bazelak deserves credit for that 60-yard throw to Mookie Cooper because he got drilled. There was a guy right in it. Now, was he wide open? Yes. But Bazelak stood in there and held on to the ball till he couldn't hold on to it anymore, and then he got it to him. So he deserves credit for that.
Yeah,
but Brady Cook has made every play Drinkwitz has asked him to make. And given what Bazelak did with 5 minutes left in that game, I think he may get the job next week.
Thanks, Gabe. Love the show.
Steven, appreciate it, man. Thanks for the call. Let's go to the 314 area code. You with me?
Yeah, this is Tyler. I'm here.
What's up, Ty?
Just one comment on the quarterback situation, and then another question, then kind of for you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, on the quarterback situation, it's tough to maybe disagree that maybe right now Brady Cook is the best option, but I guess just from my perspective, to me that just means we have no quarterback on the roster then, or at least anyone good. I mean, and this isn't a total shot at Cook because he was brought in knowing like he's going to be a backup guy, right? He's brought in basically in an off cycle of the quarterback recruiting, and hey, we need like someone serviceable to be a backup. So I guess my just fear is if Cook is the guy right now, then that means we have no one, and we have to hope Horn can come in next year and start, or you got to go in and try and get a grad transfer. Otherwise, you're looking at another like 5-7, 6-6 like season. And two, you don't have Badie next year, which gets to then my question of where is any other playmaker on offense? I mean, Badie deserves all the praise and everything. And yes, Cooper broke one today, but there is no other. I mean, the starting three receivers are Chisholm, Bannister, and Dub. I think they combined for like 3 catches for like 30 yards today. I mean, there's just no one out there, which I don't know, just that with Cook, if he's our quarterback and then no one else, it just kind of worries me a lot right now. So that's my question.
On the offensive playmakers, look, I agree. Mookie Cooper had one big play. Dominic Lovett shows flashes, but certainly not reliable by any means at this point in time. Boo Smith averages like 38 yards a catch and somehow has only played like 32 snaps this season. I don't understand what he has to do to get on the field. I totally agree on the offensive playmaker thing. On Cook, I'm going to fight you a little bit there. I mean, you don't bring anybody in with the idea that, well, you're never going to start, but we're just going to give you a scholarship, right? Somebody thought he was good enough to take a shot on. Now, they may not have thought it was likely that he wins the starting job, but you don't bring him in if you don't think there's any chance. And what have we seen out of Brady Cook to tell us he can't start in this league? I mean, every time he's been called on, he has answered the bell. He's done what they've asked him to do. He's earned a longer look. He's earned a chance. And Tyler Macon, look, he hadn't played football in 2 years. We can't write him off yet.
I think, though, you're using the inverse a little bit there of like, okay, yes, because he came in and handed the ball off a couple times and then like fumble and he hasn't maybe like thrown a pick in a few snaps, doesn't mean he deserves to start, right? Yeah, like he hasn't screwed up, but like, he hasn't really been asked to do much either.
That's fair, but by virtue of not having screwed up, he's the best option they have right now. And so you see if he can do more. Now, maybe he can't do more. Maybe you find out, hey, when we ask him to do more, he does screw up. And if that's the case, then I don't know what you do. You're right. You might be turning it over to Sam Horn next year. I guess he's earned the right to see if he can do more. Is that a fair way to put it?
Fair enough. I just, I still think that just worries me. That to me, that thinks is like we just don't have anyone. And maybe Macon takes the step up next year. I mean, he hasn't played in a while, so he could have a good off season. But anyway, I think it's fair. I don't think anyone knows 100% sure. We're all guessing a little bit, right? Because we haven't seen enough of any people. But
yep. Well, Tyler, appreciate the call, man, and I definitely don't disagree with you. What Tyler is saying certainly is a possibility. Let's go to the 573 area code. Who's with me from there?
Hey, Gabe. Justin Ferguson down here in Mississippi. How you doing, man?
Not bad, Justin. What's going on, man?
Oh, nothing too much. I've called in earlier in the year to bag on Steve Wilkes and this defense, and I have to call in to tip my cap to him. I mean, last week you saw there were some things that you said, okay, they're doing these things better, but you wanted to see this week, are they fixed? And so far it looks like yes. I mean, the run defense, they played a hell of a game. It's not just the defensive line. It's also the linebackers. The safeties are coming up a little bit quicker, it seems like.
Yep.
I don't know what they figured out, but they figured it out, and that's what Steve Wilkes gets paid money to do, and I'm just glad to kind of see they did that. On Bazelak, that first interception, I don't know what the hell he was doing.
Yeah, that was bad.
The second one, it just looked like the ball kind of slipped out of his hand. And you don't, obviously it's not something you want to have happen, but with Cook coming in, I actually thought that maybe Drink brought him in to give just that element of a run out of the quarterback. So it it would take a little bit off of Badie to kind of maybe open up the defense a little bit so Missouri could kind of just run the clock out. Because, I mean, look, Cook came in, and granted, all he did was hand the ball off. But that difference of the fact that Cook can run when Bazelak's clearly hurt and he can't run, I think that's what I think that Drink was doing. I don't think he was doing it necessarily to punish Bazelak or anything like that. I think it was more just the fact that Cook, honestly, in that situation, it gave Missouri the best chance to ice the game away.
And look, I'm looking at Twitter while you say this, and that is what Drinkwitz said. Mitchell Forty tweeted on the decision to put Brady Cook in at the end. Eli Drinkwitz says he felt like he was going to need the quarterback to run on that drive. Fair enough. So let me ask you then.
Yeah.
In the first 56 minutes of the game, you never think there's a time you need the quarterback to run? You're just putting a guy back there that can't run? In that case, you're not playing your best guy, right?
Well, I mean, that's what I've been saying about the thing about I've said about Macon. I mean, and I'm not saying to put Macon in or over Cook or anything like that, but I'm saying what I've been talking about is the quarterback run. It just opens things up for Badie. It makes Tyler Badie a better running back because the defense has to respect Brady Cook as a runner. With Bazelak, they don't have to respect the run at all. And we're not seeing Bazelak really push the ball downfield all that much, to where it makes a difference whether it's Bazelak, Cook, or who the hell else you put back there. You can put Dawson Downing back there as running back, and honestly, he can throw the ball 10 yards.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, but to me, what Drinkwitz said, I'm not arguing with you so much as I'm arguing with what Drinkwitz said. We needed a quarterback to run the ball on that drive. But I guess you just didn't need one in the first 55 minutes of the game until Bazelak threw such a god-awful interception that you just in other words, I don't think it's the truth. I don't believe it. Now, I understand why he says it, and if he says it so that he can come back and start Connor Bazelak next week if he wants to. I just don't believe it. I mean, that's really what it comes down to.
Right, and then, I mean, good God. When does the SEC or the NCAA take a look at their officiating crews?
Yeah.
I mean, good
it was
Lord.
Bad.
I mean, look, I've seen some bad games and stuff, but I thought that crew just had a awfully one-sided game.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's not just because it's against Missouri or anything like that, but them holding penalties that took away them 2 interceptions, I mean, that's some of the most ticky-tack holding calls I think I've seen. And here's the thing. I could understand it if the ball would have been more on the receiver.
Right.
But they were both underthrown balls that they wouldn't have even damn mattered.
Yeah.
If you're calling holding on that play, the defender helped the receiver out, in all honesty.
Yeah. And now
it's just they were just terrible.
Yeah, we do need to say that second one ended up not mattering because the very next play was the sack fumble that Missouri recovered for a touchdown. So the second one didn't kill Missouri. The first one I thought was really bad. There was also a play in there where literally it looked like an offensive tackle. I don't know if it was McGuire or Jeffcoat. Like literally just had a fistful of jersey that I could have called from home and they didn't call it. There were probably some missed calls against South Carolina too. I'm not going to say they were all against Missouri. Officials are bad. Like, they're always bad. We can find 30 calls a game probably they screw up. But we notice the ones that are against the team we follow. We tend to not notice the other ones. But, yes, there were 3, I thought, really bad calls or no calls that hurt Missouri in this game.
I mean, you could almost call it a holding call almost every single time that we got even pressure on the South Carolina quarterback, because I mean, it seemed like that the second that dude tried to run in another direction, you could see clearly, from home, and maybe that's what the officials were trying to prevent it being from, a flag fest. But I mean, my goodness, it was just bad. But I appreciate it, Gabe. I'm actually bringing my boys up next weekend for the Florida game. We're driving from Mississippi. It's going to be their first game at Faroe. It's actually going to be our first games at Faroe. Being in the military, I've never actually been to Faroe. I've only been to all the away games. So
that's awesome.
Looking forward to that, and appreciate the time, Gabe, and have a good one, man.
Justin, I tell you what, hit me up with an email at powermizzou@gmail.com this week. We'll get you hooked up with a gift certificate or something to take your boys to lunch.
All right, thanks, Gabe.
All right, buddy. Have a good one. All right, let's move on now to the 417 area code. Who's there? 417. Do you stick around with me? It sounds like no dice. Do we still have the 636 area code on here? Nobody from 636. 908. Did you hang out with me?
What's up, Gabe?
What's up, Schiffer? How you doing, man?
I'm good. I feel like slim pickings after going on after you struck out on like 2 or 3 people ahead of me.
That's
How
all
you
right.
doing?
I'm sure you've got great things to say, man.
I watched half the game. I'm in OKC with the Nets doing laundry, but a couple friends complain that I haven't called into your show lately. I really don't think the ratings have been affected, I would guess.
Yeah,
But,
I don't know. I don't
how
get
you're
Nielsen
doing.
numbers
So,
on this show.
That's true. I watched half the game. My question is, obviously the season is a disappointment based on how expectations were going in, but you're 5-5 and you have 2 shots against Darth Mullen and Arkansas. I know Arkansas, I think, plays later today, so I don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know what they'll look like today, but is it a disappointment given the rest of the schedule and where they are now if they don't make a bowl game? That is my question.
I mean, considering that 3 weeks ago people were talking 3-9, I don't know if you can necessarily call it a disappointment. But yeah, I feel like it would be a little hollow if you lose to Florida, who I'm not yet convinced that Dan Mullen is going to be coaching that game. If you lose to Florida and Arkansas to end it, I feel like it'll be a little bit of a bummer. Arkansas's up 3-0 in Baton Rouge right now. And look, still at the beginning of the season, I think if you had asked everybody, okay, will you take 6-6? I think most people would have said, I'll take it, but I don't like it. And I think that's the most likely outcome here is that you win one of these 2, but not both of them. It's okay. It's not great, but it's what's in front of them now, and they need to go salvage it.
Cool.
Well, Schiff, enjoy Oklahoma City, man.
Yeah, you've been. I know you've been to Tulsa a few times. Have you come? I haven't been here in like 15 years. I don't know what the move is here.
Yeah, I don't know anything about Oklahoma City. I've driven through it, and that's about it. So, I'm sure it's lively and fun though.
I gotta find some Bluebell ice cream. I know that.
All right, buddy. Have a good one, man. All right, let's go.
See ya.
Let's go to the 832 area code. Who's there?
Hey, this is Tony, Gabe.
What's up, Tony?
How about the offensive line tonight? My goodness, that was that's shades of Gary Pinkel and playing Ole Miss that one time where we just shoved it down their throats. I was impressed. Impressed with both lines, but especially the offensive line tonight.
Yeah, no question. I mean, those guys played really well. Like we talked about it with the caller earlier that Deuce McAllister specifically was pointing out Connor Wood quite a few times. I've got to think that Daniel Parker had a lot to do with it, and Nico Hay at tight end. I mean, those guys they earned their money tonight, no question. Well, I mean, they don't have a lot of money, but but Drinkwitz shouted them out after the game.
Let me ask you, you really do believe that Cook was in because of that second interception as opposed to what Drinkwitz was saying? That was my gut feel about it, because you don't put a fresh quarterback in with a game on the line, generally with 5 minutes left to go in the game, especially as important as that game was.
Yeah, because, so Drinkwitz makes the switch in a 31-21 game with – it was about 5:56 left, I think, when he threw that second pick, right? So if you needed to run the ball then, why didn't you need to run the ball at 31-14 with 7:16 left? It doesn't make any sense, right? I mean,
it doesn't make any sense to me. I that was exactly my thought. It's like he's just, that's enough. And I agree with you. If Cook can play, if you're right, and if Cook plays a reasonable game, this might be the last game Basilak would have ever started for Mizzou.
It's not out of the question. And look, I'm not trying to chase guys out or anything, but that's the column I'm going to write tonight is I know what the coach said, but as a football fan and knowing how football teams work, watching that game, I don't know how you reverse that move. I don't know, man. I mean, you heard – look, Missouri fans were booing on the second offensive drive today. And I'm not saying you ever make a quarterback decision based on what the fans want, but all Brady Cook has ever done is everything you've asked him to do. I think he's earned the shot, right? And look, if he throws a pick with 4 minutes left to lose next week's game, okay, he just is. But I think he's at least earned the look.
Yeah, and unbelievable that the announcer – my son and I were watching the game, and the announcer says, well, South Carolina's fumbled 2 or 3 times. Mizzou's not fumbled yet, and they both said, oh, don't say that.
Yeah. and to his credit, he did call himself out. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. I can't believe that just happened. I never believed in this, but apparently it's real.
So, anyway, it was like, and then, of course, I don't know, we were both sweating it out. But, hey, man, they shoved it down their throat again on that last drive. I mean, I know part of it's Badie. Obviously, a lot of it is. But, again, the offensive line, they knew what was coming, and they couldn't stop it. So, anyway, enjoy the show.
Thanks, Tony. Appreciate the call, man. Glad to hear from you. And let's move on. The 618 area code is next.
Hi, this is Keith. Gabe, how are you?
Keith, I'm good, man. What's going on?
I tell you, I call every week, and I tell you this is the best part of my Mizzou day is listen to this program afterwards and get a chance to talk to you. I got to be honest, I'm starting to warm up to Steve Wilkes' defense a little bit, for all the complaining I've done.
Yeah, it looked a lot better today, without question, man. I mean, this was, 250 total yards.
I'm one of those folks who called originally and was upset with Drinkwitz after the A&M game, for example, and but I got to be honest, I sat pretty close to the Mizzou sideline today, and I watched him, and he doesn't have any of that sort of Scott Frost attitude about him, and that's what I like about Drinkwitz. I think he just, no matter how things are going, he doesn't have any. You don't see him, make big gestures or roll his eyes or throw his clipboard or any of that crap. Okay. He seems 100% Mizzou, so. I think I'm just going to learn to be patient.
I did. I don't want to argue with you, Keith, but watching last week's game, I think I saw a couple bad words and pretty big gestures when his quarterbacks were coming off the field a couple times. And look, I don't have a problem with that. Like I'm not saying anything bad about him. Just saying, hey, we all get a little animated every now and then. But no, overall,
I gotta be honest. I didn't watch last week much. I got to be honest. So.
Okay, there you go. There you go. But no, overall, I think he did. I mean, this is how we evaluate coaches, right? Legitimately, after the Bazelak interception, I'll tell you guys, I texted a couple people and I said, I don't think they're going to lose this game. But if they do, this is Drinkwitz's version of 2018 Kentucky. And after that game, I wrote, Barry Odom's not going to be fired, but these are the type of games that end up getting coaches fired, right? So, but that narrative now never sees the light of day because, hey, he did all that matters is that you score more than the other team. And he did enough to get his team to the finish line. Wasn't beautiful, but he got it done. And so he deserves credit for that.
Well, I appreciate the show, Gabe. Thank you.
All right, Keith. I appreciate you being a part of it, man. Thanks for calling in, and we'll talk to you again next week. Let's go back now to the 602 area code. Who's there?
Hey, Gabe. This is Mike in Phoenix.
What's up, Mike? How you doing, man?
Hey, man. Good. Hey, I just wanted to say that, in a key moment like 4 minutes left in the game, I don't know how you can take Connor Bazelak out of the game and think that he's going to be your guy moving forward. Just thinking of if it wasn't Mizzou, if it was another team, they took their quarterback out of, if Patrick Mahomes was taken out of the game towards the end of the game last week and they put somebody else in or something. I don't know how you can think that, they can put some Connor Bazelak back in the game next week as a starter. I don't know how you. I just wanted to see what your thought was on that. How could they put him back in the game and think that he's going to have their trust?
Yeah, ultimately, I agree with you. That was my first reaction. Literally, when they made the switch, I texted Mitchell and I said, "That seems like a move you can't reverse." Now, that said, earlier this year, Auburn, I think it was Jacksonville State. Like they were really struggling with Jacksonville State. And Bo Nix got pulled at halftime, and I can't even remember the backup's name. But he went in, ended up making some miraculous play on 4th down and 15 to win the game by a point. And I thought, I literally wrote the next day in my 10 thoughts on college football, I said, I think we've seen the last of Bo Nix as a starter. Bo Nix started the next game. Auburn's played really well, gotten in the top 25. Now, they've lost a couple in a row, but, like, he got the job back. Caleb Williams replaced Spencer Rattler at one point. Rattler played some more today. So it is not impossible. But my first reaction was to agree with you is you basically just told the kid you don't trust him to win the game. I don't know how you go back to him.
Yeah, and how do you, I guess from that standpoint, whether it's Bazelak, I guess I would take your opinion on it. Like if it's Bazelak or whether it's Macon or whether, I mean, it's not going to be Macon, but right. if it's regardless of who it is at quarterback, what are your expectations? What are your thoughts the next 2 weeks? Florida looks like it's a winnable game.
Yeah.
Do you think if it's not 6 games and it's a disappointment, do you think that we should expect at least one win the next 2 weeks, or where do you stand on that?
Yeah, expect is like watching both teams to play today. Yes, I would think Missouri should beat Florida, but expect is kind of a strong word. Florida still does have some talent. Florida looks like a team that is quick to me. I mean, Samford had 500-600 yards of total offense. It was the most points an FCS team has ever scored against an FBS team. But the goal clearly is find a way to win one of the last 2. And obviously, that becomes a lot easier if you win the first one, right? It's like if you go to the free throw line with no time left in a tie game and all you got to do is make one, well, if you make the first one, second one's pretty easy. But if you don't make the first one, all of a sudden that second one got about 10 times harder. So you want to win one. I said coming into today, clearly the goal was win 2 out of 3. And I said there's no possible way that happens if they don't win today. They won today. They gave themselves a shot. I don't know if I'd say yet I expect it. But, yeah, they've got a shot. I mean, I'd say if you're like a statistical guy, I'd give them a little better than a 50% chance to win next week, a little worse than a 50% chance to win the following week. So I guess it'd come out to about a 25% chance that they'd make a bowl game.
Yeah, I was just thinking, you and Mitchell tend to have a pretty, a pretty even keel on that sort of stuff. I was just wondering what you guys, especially what you thought about. Is 6-6 kind of what you think's going to happen, or whatever?
If I was
you guys doing the post game show and everything, and I love you guys' stuff, so I appreciate you guys.
Appreciate the call, Mike. Thanks a lot. And yeah, if I was betting, and I want to make it clear, I do not bet. The last game I bet on, Ron Dane played in, so it's been a minute. If I was betting, I'd take 6-6 over 5-7 or 7-5. I think that's the most likely, but. Again, if you lose to Florida next week, that gets a whole lot harder. I mean, because Arkansas is the better team, and then you would be going in knowing we have to win this game, and it's not going to work. And so, as Snoop says, Mitch explained that Eli said Cook was just in to ice the game, and we could easily see Bazelak next week. I agree we could. That's what he said. But again, it didn't, why not do that the drive before then? Because you actually, at 31-21, you need to run the ball far more than you do at 31-28. Because at 31-21, you can run the ball, and I'm going to go back through all this in my postgame column, which I'll write after this show is over. But at 31-21 with, let's say, 6 minutes left, something like that, if you just run the ball 3 times and punt, you have either wasted 50 seconds and made South Carolina use 2 timeouts, or you have wasted 2 full minutes. And he didn't do it then. So I don't really believe that reason, if I'm being honest. Let's go back to the phone lines in the 303 area code. Who am I talking to?
You're talking to Greg?
Yeah, what's going on, man? How are you?
Hey, pretty good, man. Hey, I got a question for you.
So I've noticed that obviously everybody knows that Basilak has regressed. Seems like week by week ever since.
Yeah.
I want to say the BC game, but at the same time, do you think? Because I mean, I'm sure these are kids, so I'm sure they're hearing all of this social chatter, not only from fans but social media, with obviously Drinkwood's getting more of his guys in, and then you have this stud coming in, and Sam Horn is doing all this stuff in high school. Grand fact, it's high school, but has a high upside of what people are saying he should be in college. Do you think that that's affecting him? And then what do you think about the future of next year? Because I know a lot of people are saying that after Badie leaves, we're in trouble, but I'm actually pretty optimistic that the pieces that Drinkwitz is bringing in is actually going to do something next year, and it's going to be more of a spread it out type thing where we're going to be scoring in different ways by just handing the ball off 30 to 40 times to Badie.
Yeah, so I would say that as far as Basilak goes and hearing stuff, look, I don't know what Connor – I don't know him personally very well. I don't know how he reacts to things. But I do know this. I've seen him physically be better than this. And I know he's hurt, but, like, before this week – there had to have been something. He didn't look to me like a guy that had very much confidence, right? Hey, whoever's on the line, if I can ask you to kind of turn down whatever you're listening on, we're getting feedback from your line, and I'm going to have to let you go if I can't get you to turn it down. But he definitely looked like his confidence was shaken, and there's a lot of it's mental. I don't think there's any question. A lot of it is mental. As far as next year, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of new guys coming in. Luther Burden's coming in. Mookie Cooper's a year older. Dominic Lovett's a year older. Maybe, but it's all potential right now. There's absolutely nothing on next year's team that we can point to and say, I know that's good, right? Tyler Badie ain't going to be on next year's team. You can't point to the quarterback and know it's good. You can't point to the wide receivers and know they're good. You can hope there can be potential, but until we see it, I think there are question marks about next year.
Makes sense, Gabe. Thank you for the call, and MIZ.
All right, appreciate the call, man. Thanks a lot for being a part of it. Let's go next to the 620 area code. You still with me?
Yeah.
Who am I talking to?
Hello.
Yeah, what's going on?
This is Bob.
How you doing, Bob?
I just had a few questions. Maybe in the press conference, did anybody ask Eli in the? I guess it was after they scored on the busted coverage to make it 31-21, and we had everybody up for the onside kick, and we didn't have anybody at least one guy back there to if they kicked it deep, so we could pick it up and bring it forward.
Mm-hmm.
At least it didn't look like it. It looked like everybody had to run back and cover it at the 12.
Right.
Did anybody ask why that was that way? You wouldn't at least have someone back there?
Let me see.
Cover the kick. They kicked kind of a line drive, and it got, it wasn't an onside kick. They kicked the line drive, and it went back there, and it looked like our guys had to turn around and go back and cover it at the 12.
Right, yeah.
So,
I'm reading through the post-game thread right now. I don't see that Drinkwitz, and I'm not on the post-game press conference because I start this show immediately after. I don't see that anybody specifically asked him about that. I agree with you, Bob. There should have been one dude back deep. I don't really understand why there wasn't at least a guy to fair catch it or something. So I agree. Yeah. I would have done that. I guess the explanation probably is, hey, we needed everybody up there in case we onside. And if they decided to kick it deep and do what they did, we felt pretty confident that Tyler Badie, the fastest player on the field, would get back there and cover it, which he did. Now, I agree with you. Yeah. I probably would have had somebody get back there, but I'm assuming that would have been the explanation.
Yeah. And the other thing, I mean, besides it being frustrating with having a 17-point lead with 7, 8, 9 minutes to go, and I started to relax. I guess that was a mistake.
Right.
And they came back and got within 3, and I really felt like, especially when they brought Brady Cook out, I thought, well, they're not going to let him throw the ball, so it's on Badie to win this game, and thank God he did it. But it was scary as heck the last 4-something minutes to run the clock out, and then who's the special teams coach? Is that Eric Link?
Eric Link, yeah.
I I tell you what, can we not find a guy that can catch a punt and return it? I mean, we either let the ball hit the ground, or when we do catch it, we call for a fair catch. And I understand sometimes they're too close to it, but it seems like there's opportunities to catch the ball and run. And I don't know. I'm hoping next year, but they might not want to do that with Luther Burden, but because maybe getting hurt. But I can't believe we can't find someone on the team that can catch a punt and take off and run with it. We don't get any yardage there. It's just frustrating that they either let the ball hit and then, if it bounces the kick's way where it rolls for another 10, 15 yards, and if they do catch it, it's usually a fair catch. So it's kind of frustrating that,
Yeah, I would say a couple of the punts today were really short punts that nobody could get to. I mean, Boo Smith had a really nice return last week against Georgia, and last year the problem was they kept fumbling the punts. That really hasn't happened much this year. They've corrected that. Also, like Grant McInnes had a punt down at the 2-yard line today. They hustled that field goal unit on the field with no time left in the first half and got a field goal. Harrison Mevis is maybe the best kicker in the country. Like, the special teams overall this year, like, I would give them an A. They've been excellent, I think.
Yeah.
I have absolutely I think Eric Link's done a better job than any coach on this staff.
I do like our kicker. He's, for being a sophomore, and even last year, he was like money. I mean, you could almost guarantee, even when the announcers would try to jinx him and say, I hadn't missed a field goal or whatever. I mean, he's a heck of a lot better. I can't remember who our last kicker was, but it was like you had to hold your breath.
Mm-hmm.
He could make a 50-yarder, then he could miss an extra
Tucker
point,
McCann,
way left.
Yep.
Yeah, Tucker McCann was scary as heck. But this guy, I don't worry about him at all. I mean, and you're right. When they ran on the field, I was a little concerned that, of course, when Hay couldn't get it across the goal line, and I thought, oh, great, here we go. So, but they got out there and got set, and didn't jump, but that's just frustrating. And maybe they've gotten better this year, but we just don't have a guy that, and maybe Burden, I don't know, like I say, maybe they'll be worried about him getting injured, but he does a hell of a job in high school of taking punts back and kickoffs back, and so maybe he could be the answer. But I'm happy they won, and I'm glad at least we got a shot at 6 wins. But I tell you what, I didn't have a lot of confidence after they scored 2 touchdowns in about a little over 2 minutes. I thought, oh God, I can't believe they're back within 3, and we still had four something to go.
Yep.
And I knew, like I say, when Cook came out, they probably weren't going to let him throw it, so it was all on Badie, and thank God for Badie. So.
Yep, no question, Bob. Appreciate the call, man. Thanks for being part of the show.
Bye.
All right, let's go to the 940 area code next. Who's with me there?
Yeah, this is Ed, and I'm up for the game and everything. Couple comments. One, that kickoff that we wound up covering on the 12-yard line, there is absolutely no excuse for not having anybody back, even around the 20-yard line or so. Second, Michael Cox, I think he carried the ball 3 or 4 times.
Yep.
He needs to play more. He needs to not alternate, but, play occasionally, because he always seems to do something positive, and he's a strong dude. Yeah,
but here's the issue. Tyler Badie had 39 touches for 231 yards. That's 6 yards per touch. I mean, every carry you're giving Michael Cox is one you're not giving Tyler Badie. And now if there was a situation where Badie was getting worn out and not playing as well at the end of games, I agree with you. But this dude never seems to get tired. He gets 35 touches every week, and he just keeps going. So I understand the desire, and I've written about it some, the desire to see another back, but it's kind of hard to argue that Tyler Badie, if anything, he should get more touches.
Yeah.
I mean, I get what you're saying, Ed, and Cox has made some nice plays, and maybe B.J. Harris is good, and maybe there's other guys, but, I mean, this team's best play every single snap is somehow get the ball to Tyler Badie until he just comes to the sideline and says, yo, man, I need a break. I can't do this for a couple plays.
Right. Yeah, and Mizzou, nobody's really talking about it, but Mizzou has a real good chance of going forward in the conference again. So that's not too shabby considering all the problems they've had.
Yeah, they're 2-4 now. Let's get to 3-4 next week, and we'll see. Look,
Arkansas is getting beat up. Yeah, Arkansas is physically getting beat up at LSU. So last time I checked it was 10-3 LSU, but they're taking their lumps too physically. So
Okay. Yeah.
okay,
Be interesting to see how it unfolds.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate the
really
call,
enjoyed
Ed.
the show, and I'll go. Okay.
All right.
Yeah,
Thanks,
take
buddy.
care. Bye-bye.
Appreciate it. Let's go 636 area code. Who's there?
Hey, it's Steven again.
What's up, Steven? How's it going, man?
Well, I was thinking what your game plan would be, what you think the game plan should be against Florida. I haven't watched a lot of Florida. I assumed that it would be Emory Jones. So even if we're able to get pressure like we did today, he's faster than the quarterback we faced today.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like at times he can throw better. I know he throws a lot of interceptions. So even though if you get pressure, he's more athletic, and then at times he might be a better passer. So I'm curious on what you think Mizzou's, what we could do next week to stop him.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first key against Florida is score virtually every time you touch the ball. Not because I think Florida's offense is great, but Samford threw for 416 yards and ran for 114 today. Samford had 530 yards of total offense against Florida. That defense is a train wreck. So you can let Emory Jones get some of his. Like next week is a week you might have to go in and say, hey, we might have to win 42-38 or 48-45. Like, the offense is going to have to be good next week because every offense has been good against Florida. I'm going to run through their recent games. They gave up 52 to Samford, 40 to South Carolina, 34 to Georgia, 49 to LSU. Shut out Vanderbilt. Good, nice there. Back when they were still trying, they beat Kentucky 20-13 and Tennessee 38-14. But, I mean, their last four games, the best they've done is give up 34. They're giving up 175 points in four games, so that's like 44 a game. You can score on Florida, and you're going to have to score on Florida because Emory Jones, they do have guys. They can get some stuff done on offense, and yeah, Emory Jones is dangerous throwing the football. He threw 6 touchdowns today. He ran for 86 yards. He's a good quarterback. But to me, the game plan next week is force a couple turnovers and win a shootout.
So, saying that, do you make the switch at quarterback? Thinking that if Connor starts, he's going to throw a 5-yard pass here or there. Does Cook maybe get to start thinking he can still throw those passes, but then add that running, in there, knowing that, hey, we do need to score every time, and it can't just be Tyler Badie every single time, whether it's run or pass to Badie.
Yeah, it's not opponent-specific to me. The whole question is, do you trust Connor Bazelak, and does Connor Bazelak believe in himself? I don't know. I don't know the answers to either of those questions. To me, today, the moves he made indicated to me he doesn't trust his quarterback. And his quarterback made a few plays that indicate to me he doesn't have much confidence in himself. I don't know. I don't know. I would start Brady Cook next week, honestly, based on the way the last 6 minutes went today. I would start him, and I'd give him a look, and I would come out and do what you did in this game, which is be willing on one drive to call 4 trick plays, right? And be willing to take a deep shot to Mookie Cooper and do some of these things because I do think the play calling was different today. I thought it was. I thought they tried things they haven't tried the last few weeks.
Yeah, play calling was definitely a little better at times. All right, thanks, Gabe.
All right, Steven, I appreciate the call, man. Thanks for being a part of it, and thanks to all you guys. We've had a good solid hour of phone calls, and the phone line is right now clear. And so if you want to call in, please do. 573-234-4935. Want to take a minute here while I've got a second to. Well, never mind. We'll do that in a minute. Let's go back to the phone lines. The 229 area code. Who am I talking to?
Hey, is this Aaron calling?
Yeah, what's up, Aaron?
Am I on?
You're on, man.
Oh, okay, yeah. Just over and under now. If you're a bed man, I'm not saying you are, but let's say 1.5 years. Steve Wilkes taking over and under.
1.5 years from now?
No, I mean
or total.
His stint with Missouri. So I'm saying, do you think he survived? Basically, I'm saying is you think is he going to survive this year?
Yeah, I think he comes back next year because I've always thought. I've always said I thought it was 50-50 he comes back next year, and that defense has played well 2 weeks in a row. They kind of look like they're figuring it out. If they win one more, and now look, can that change if they give up 60 next week and 52 to Arkansas? Sure, it could change. But as of now, yeah, I would be surprised if he's not back next year.
Yeah, I mean, I've been critical of him. So, but the thing that I liked, he was able to realize that Blaze needed to switch from the middle to the outside. He made some changes on the defensive line. Looking back, even when the defenses were bad, it seemed like he was making adjustments. I don't know if maybe the other team was putting their foot off the pedal, but it seemed like he was making some adjustments in the Kentucky game I'm thinking about.
Yeah, well, and also, I should have brought this up earlier, and I've written about this before. I don't know if I've mentioned it on this show, but I had a conversation with somebody middle of fall camp, so 2-3 weeks before the season starts. And this person told me, they said, we're probably going to struggle defensively to start. Like, especially, I think they were a little more worried about the back end than they were about the defensive line. But they said at the beginning of the year, we might have some struggles. But I think you're going to look up in week 6 or 7 and think, hey, this defense is a lot better than it was 3 weeks ago. Now, it took till week 9, right? It took a little longer. But we've seen that happen. And look, I'm a Kansas City Chiefs fan, and right now we're all going through this same thing, right? Like, oh, my God, this is the worst defense I've ever seen. Oh, my God, it's still a really bad defense. Hey, these guys look like maybe they're getting better. And teams do coaching is about getting better throughout the year, and this defense has gotten better. Now, look, they've got to continue it. I understand why everybody's scarred from Tennessee and scarred from Kentucky and even North Texas. I get it. But they have gotten better.
Yeah, and I'm encouraged by that. As far as I'm sorry, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. 404 area code. We'll get to you in a minute. I need you to hang on, though. Go ahead, Aaron. Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about Mookie Cooper. I was real impressed. He showed some burst on that. I know it was a broken coverage, but I don't know whether to blame Mookie Cooper for not getting open often. As far as not getting targeted more, or right now I'm thinking maybe it's the quarterback. I mean, just not seeing the field, and I can't really be critical of anybody on the wide receiver core because I don't know if it's them not getting open or just basically doesn't seem like he sees the field that well.
Yeah, without access to like the all-22 film, we don't really know, right? But I think it's a combination of things. Cooper wasn't healthy a lot of the year. I'm not sure they were putting him in the best positions and knew exactly how to use him. He was doing a lot of screens and jet sweeps and stuff and not much downfield. He started to do a little more of that lately. So had 3 catches for 72 yards, got in the end zone for the first time. Kid deserves credit for, he hadn't played a football game in 3 years and sticking with it. So he's a guy that I'm interested to see next year with a full off season. If he can stay healthy, how much better a player he is next year than he was this year.
Okay, well, I appreciate it. And Boo Smith, I agree with you. I don't know what he has to do to get on the field.
I don't either, man. I don't either. I don't even have anything to say about it. It's bizarre. Aaron, I appreciate it, man. Let's go next to the 404 area code. Who's there from the 404?
Hey, Jake. You there?
Yeah, I got you. Who am I talking to?
All right, speaking of Allen, man, we're down here in the South. We following Mizzou because of our local guy Cox is out there with you. But
yep.
2 things your caller called in earlier. So one, I do want to congratulate the defense for being better. For whatever reason, maybe they just got tired of just getting embarrassed and they're just balling a little harder or whatever.
Right.
From an effort standpoint. So I want to give it to them. 2, going into the debate of the night for me with Basilak, I think it was self-preservation for Coach Drink. I think that if he would have lost that game, it would have been very, very bad on him.
Oh, yeah,
no question. It would have been very, very bad, and I think he didn't have a choice. I think he knew. Yeah, I think he thought if he got in there one more time and threw another pick, they were going to lose that game, and it would have been his fault. And I think he made a gut decision that he didn't have a choice to make. And to be honest with you, I think he should ride that out for the rest of the season because he's trying to get into a bowl game. I think that's important. And regarding Badie, shout out to him and everything he's done with the program. But the season is gone at this point, besides the bowl game, and you got to look at next year. And that's my point about Basilak as far as getting Cook or Macon, getting them these last two games is important that they get that in there. And that's the same going with Cox and Elijah. So that's why I just want to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I understand that point of view. And fans oftentimes, when you go, well, hey, 9 games out the window or whatever, our goals before the year were out the window. Well, we got to start preparing for next year. I'm just going to tell you, coaches never think that way, man, because the thing is in college football, it's not about there's no reward for not winning, right? You don't get a higher if you finish 5-7, you don't get a higher draft pick than if you finish 6-6. There's no such thing. So his goal every year is, look, I got to win as many games as I can. And I know you said other than the bowl game, there's nothing left. But that's a big deal because you get, a couple weeks of practice and all that. And is it important to play in games? Yes, it's absolutely important to play in games. But for guys like Michael Cox, for guys like Elijah Young, for some of these other guys, there should theoretically be more improvement in 2 weeks of bowl practice and 4 weeks of spring football and 4 weeks of fall camp and a summer of conditioning and all that than there would be by getting 10 snaps in a game. And I understand everybody wants to play in the game, and I'm not saying that shouldn't happen. But, again, I've got a hard time arguing that Missouri should do anything with the ball other than hand it to Tyler Badie or throw it to Tyler Badie the way he's been playing lately. You'd like to get more guys experience. I think the time to do that, it wasn't today, it wasn't next week or against Arkansas. The time to do it was Tennessee and A&M when these games were over, and I don't really know why he didn't do it then.
Well, and that being the case, Georgia for that matter.
Yes.
But
yes.
For me, it wasn't even more so that, of course they need game experience. There's no experience like game experience.
Right.
So that's my main thing on that. But when I say this year, I think the change at quarterback needs to happen this year to try to get that bowl game.
Yep.
I don't think they're going to win if he puts Basilak back out there.
It's a fair take.
I think that's
fair
why
take.
he took him out. And if we're concerned about this year, which we are, like you're saying, if you want to make the best out of this year, you just got to call a spade and make that change. Because I think if he doesn't do it, let me just talk positive. I think that's what needs to be done, and I'll just let it go at that.
No, that's fair, Alan. Look, I'm not going to tell you you're wrong, man. No question. Appreciate the call, and thanks for being a part of the show. Let's go next to the 636 area code. You with me?
Yeah, is that me, Gabe?
636. Who am I talking to?
Yeah, this is John.
What's up, John? How you doing, man?
Good. How are you?
Hanging in.
I enjoy listening to the show. I don't, unless I'm driving back from the game, I don't get a chance to listen all that much. But I do enjoy the post-game drink, so thanks for doing this.
Absolutely.
I have 2 questions. Number one, I feel like I guess maybe a bad fan or maybe just a fan that gives up. But after the Kentucky game and they blocked that kick and then they didn't end up winning the game, I was like, well, we don't have the guys to compete with a team like Kentucky because Mark Stoops has been doing a good job. But maybe we'll get him in Boston College. And then they lost Boston College, and I didn't really feel like we should have lost that game. But then when we did, I said, well, maybe we don't have the horses to win that game either. Let's just pack it in and we'll get him next year. And now here I am sitting here hopeful that we can compete with Florida, which I didn't think that we would be able to do that. Am I just a glutton for punishment, getting my hopes up for the rest of the season that we can win a bowl game?
No, I mean, look, you're a fan, man. That's what fans do, right? The emotional roller coaster that a sports fan lives on is absolutely exhausting, right? Because after 2 drives in this game, you had gone from, oh my God, he's starting Connor. I'm not saying you. I'm saying in general. He's starting Connor Basilak. We're never going to win another game. What's he doing? He's an idiot. Oh my God. Then the defense starts with an interception. It's like, hey, I feel okay, great. And then Bazelak gives it right back. Well, this is trash. I give up. What are we doing? And then, it's just the pendulum that fans live on. And you always, a fan is always looking for a reason to be optimistic, right? And so you constantly are moving the goalposts. You started this season going, hey, I love this guy and everything's great, and whatever win total you thought, hey, if everything goes right, we can be 9-3. And then they lost to Kentucky and BC, and you knew that was out the window, and you're going, okay, but I still think we can win 7 or 8, and then okay, maybe that's out the window, but I still think we can get to a bowl game. And I mean, it's what we do, man. You're not any different than any other fan.
Okay, well, that makes me feel a little better. Now, my question about. Are you still there?
Yeah, I got you.
Sorry, I got a 3-month-old at home, and I think we just put on her owlette sock.
Okay.
But my question about this game, and to be honest, I wasn't paying that close of attention about I was listening to Mike Kelly, and I realized that we changed quarterbacks, but it was really listening to this game what got me thinking about it. If all you were going to do was put in Brady Cook to run the ball however many times they did that, why didn't they just leave Connor Bazelak in to do that? And I'll hang up and listen. I appreciate it. Like I said, I enjoy listening to the post-game drink, and I appreciate you taking my call.
All right, appreciate it, John. Thanks for being a part of the show. And I mean, the reason he took Bazelak out, he said, was because he thought he would need the quarterback to be a part of the run game. And look, the quarterback obviously wasn't going to run. Connor Bazelak hadn't run all year, so that part does make sense. But again, what doesn't make sense is then why didn't you do it the drive before? Why did it take him throwing an interception to decide you needed a quarterback to run the ball? That's the part of it that I think, I get. Look, coaches don't tell us the truth all the time. And I understand why he said what he said. I just don't really believe it. I mean, that's where I'm at, and that's what I'm going to write later on tonight. Let's go to the 417 area code. Who's there?
Hey, Gabe, it's Stuart Thompson in Springfield, Missouri.
There you go, Stuart. What's going on, man?
Just living large after a great win. I've got a couple of comments, and then I've got a question, and then I'll hang up because the show's a lot better with you than just me. But this defense, where did it come from? I mean, late is better than never, but wow. D-line Zoo back, stuffing the run and creating havoc. It's fantastic to watch. It's a lot of fun watching our defense on the field for the last 2 games, even against Georgia. I mean, you saw something, and it wasn't a bloodbath. We thought it was going to be in a big win today, and I love it. The second is Tyler Badie. Obviously he's everything to this team. And I always catch myself in late third, fourth quarter saying to myself, well, he's no Henry Josie. He's not Russell Hansbrough. He's not, we need that run. And he delivers. Mm-hmm. And every single win, he's delivered that run at the end of the game. And this is why we are all, are part of Power Mizzou, and why we love this team is when, we're able to watch these guys carry on these traditions that Coach Payton started, and hopefully Drake will carry on. But here's my question. All last week, you're like, hey, Connor Bazelak, he's the best option. He's the best chance of winning. And I trust you and I believe in you, and I'm not trying to disrespect you, but from what I'm hearing, I mean, you've totally, flipped the coin and gone the other direction. The question is it because of the performance, or are you feeling the tide? I mean, talk to me through this, and I'll hang up. Much love, much respect. I appreciate you, Gabe. Love the show. Great win for Mizzou.
All right, Stuart, I appreciate it. So, look, here's why I'm changing my tune. It's not because of anything I've been told. I mean, I haven't talked to anybody at Missouri since this game, right? It's twofold. Number one, doing the same thing on Thursday that you did on Tuesday, despite what happened on Wednesday, Like, that's just stupid. If you see evidence to change your behavior, you change your behavior. I saw evidence today to tell me that I'm not sure Connor Bazelak is the right guy going forward. Also, Eli Drinkwitz made the switch with 4.5 minutes left. That tells me he doesn't know if Connor Bazelak's the right guy. That's another reason I'm kind of changing my tune here. So let's jump to the 573 area code. Who's on the phone there?
Hey, Gabe, it's Tim. How you doing?
What's up, Tim? How are you, man?
Hey, look, I understand the base rag you're on, but let me ask you to think about this. Like, if Coop doesn't make that fumble, we're not really having this base conversation. So, secondly, let's talk about coaching. You know, we can write and chat about all we want to, but I saw good coaching today from the Mizzou sidelines. I didn't see any bad calls on defense or offense. I thought, well, special teams, that was kind of a quirk, but the coaches, they've developed, and I'm going to give them a shot. I'm going to go, hey, we do our best with Bays at quarterback. We do our best with our defense realigned. It's that secondary I'm worried about with Florida putting up 70, but I think I'm good. What about you?
It's a fair point about the Mookie Cooper fumble, and somebody else pointed out, and you're right, that's what actually flipped the game. Now, again, I mean, it doesn't change what happened in the last 6 minutes in Bazelak's responsibility, but yes, that play, absolutely. If he just hangs on to the ball, it's probably 34-14, and we don't have this discussion. So that is a fair point. I'll give you that. Overall, again, this is kind of, I was saying to an earlier caller, the line is so thin between he coached well and he coached poorly. If Missouri fails to pick, they were in 2nd and 14. Brady Cook ran for 11 yards to make it 3rd and 3. Let's say Brady Cook only picks up 3 yards or gets sacked there, and it's 3rd and 27 or whatever, and Missouri punts the ball away. And South Carolina ends up driving and winning the game 35-31. Like, we are killing Drinkwitz. All that changed is one play, right? And so that's how thin the line is. Now, the one play that I questioned was on the Bazelak interception. I don't really know why you're throwing there. Just run, keep the clock running, punt the ball away. You've only had one fumble all year. You're probably not fumbling the ball, especially if you hand it to Badie or just have Brady Cook, or I guess it was Bazelak at that point. But if you just run and waste 40 more seconds, like, you're forcing them to do everything perfectly to come back and beat you. Now, yes, your quarterback can't throw that pick, but I also think you shouldn't put your quarterback in position to throw that pick. But we're nitpicking here. He won the game. He's obviously kept the team engaged. I'm not trying to say he's doing a bad job, but look, this is why we have 2-hour post-game shows every week, is because we nitpick every little thing, right?
Well, we do, but really, coaching today, I thought, developed as much as the players did. So that you got to give the team, and the team includes the coaches and the players. You got to say, hey, okay, well, let's give them a break.
Yeah, fair. I mean, they won the game, and that's got to count for something, right? The grade can't be worse than a C because they won the game.
You're right. Great show. Keep it up.
Tim, I appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot. Let's go back to the 417 area code. Who's there?
Hey, Gabe, it's Bryce.
What's up, Bryce?
Just following up that phone call there, and maybe it wasn't coaching, maybe it was execution, but the end of the first half was almost an unmitigated disaster. That 3rd down play call where we throw the ball, which is fine, but on that, you got to throw it into the end zone where it's either incomplete or a touchdown. Throwing it short of the goal line and not getting in. I mean, thank God the thicker kicker's fast running out there, because if that doesn't go, if that goes poorly, that goes very poorly.
Now let's give him a little bit of credit, because they called the timeout after 2nd down. The way that was handled, I've got to believe what was said in that timeout is, okay, special teams, get over here. Here's what we're doing. If he doesn't get in the end zone, all your asses need to be up on this sideline, and you immediately sprint out and get lined up. So, the players all deserve credit for getting out there and getting it executed, but clearly that had been communicated to them in the timeout beforehand.
Sure. I mean, props to the special teams for getting out there, but the third down, was ugly. And, I mean, you got to throw that to the end zone. You can't.
Or if you're going to do something that stays in the field of play, why not just hand the ball to Tyler Badie?
Yeah, agreed. I was a little confused by that. I mean, all in all, I thought coaching was fine today, but that was crazy. And then one more comment. I mean, going into the game, wasn't really sure what to think. But 2 drives into the game, I was more scared with the offense on the field than the defense. And, man, after the Tennessee game, I never thought I'd say that this year. But I'll hang up and listen. That's my thoughts.
Yeah, 100% agree, Bryce. I mean, this defense, the flip has been it's been unforeseen. And I do not want to say it's complete. It is possible that Florida hangs 60 next week, right? I mean, South Carolina is not a great offensive football team. In fact, they're pretty bad. Vanderbilt is pretty bad. Georgia, for all the credit that Missouri got, had 502 yards and 43 points. So it wasn't like that was a juggernaut defensive performance. The defense does look better, though. And that shouldn't be ignored. And I'm not trying to minimize it. I don't want to come off as doing that. But I also want to be a little bit careful about how many roses we're throwing these guys, after they still did give up 43 points last week. They're still probably going to be ranked overall in the 120s in scoring and total defense and all that. So it's not all fixed, but there are reasons to feel better after the last couple weeks. I don't think there's any question about that. Next week is big. Next week suddenly is a game that Florida's going to come in here 5-5. 2-4 in the SEC, or 2-5 in the SEC. Missouri's 5-5, I think 2-4. Yeah, they got 2 SEC games left, 2-4. So these two teams are they're right there, similar results. Now Florida has shown they've got a 31-29 loss to Alabama. They dominated Tennessee. They hung with Kentucky. They lost to LSU, but that was all a month ago. That's not the Florida team that's coming in here next week. Missouri is playing better. That Florida game that's going to go a long way. And now, look, if you lose that game, I still think you can beat Arkansas. I don't think that's off the table by any means. But obviously, the Arkansas game gets a lot easier if you have the Florida win in your pocket. And if Eli Drinkwitz can get this team to rally and win these last 3, I will write him a verbal bouquet after that Arkansas game on the job he has done. No question. To get this team to 7-5 now would be crazy. To get them to 6-6 would be saving something, but I'm not going to go overboard. 7-5, you win the last 3. That'd be. We're getting into a whole nother level there, and then people would get out of control with expectations for next season. But overall today, look, the quarterback stuff kind of did dominate as I thought it would, but also, hey, improved defense. Tyler Badie's a stud. Offensive line deserves credit, and Missouri did enough. It wasn't easy, but they did enough. So that's a good thing. Want to thank all you guys that have been here for the entire show. Apologize for hitting the mute button a couple times when I shouldn't have. Again, I'm a one-man crew here. Sometimes I screw up, but appreciate you guys for sticking with me through those difficulties. And we'll offer, we're going to wrap it up here in the next couple minutes, but if you want to call, 573-234-4935, our pledge to you is always that we'll hang out here as long as you want to talk. So if we've got, if you want to call, get it done soon while I'm wrapping up here, but certainly will not cut you off if you do have something else to say that hasn't been said about this game. But I appreciate all you guys that were here. Hit the like button while you're here. Subscribe to the channel. We do shows every day except Sunday, and do different things throughout the week. 7 shows over 6 days, and we appreciate all you guys that take part in all of them. We also appreciate our partners that make it possible. This one in particular from Boulevard Brewing Company. Whether it's the beer you like, which is certainly what they're known for, whether it's the Quirk Seltzers or the Fling cocktails, all kinds of different offerings. Hey, guys, it's only 8 o'clock. Late game's probably about to hit halftime. I got more writing to do. You guys, hey, pop open a Boulevard product, and and watch the late games here in college football while you do so. Appreciate you hanging out here with us on the Boulevard post-game drink. Pocket Watch, appreciate you hanging out over here, man. I know it was a rough day for your first team, but appreciate you adopting a second team and maybe being able to pick up a W on this day. So appreciate everybody who was a part of this show. Mitchell Forty is going to have a lot more coming on Power Mizzou. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to write a post-game column and some post-game thoughts here. So I got another couple hours of writing to do after we sign off here. And, hey, we got somebody in just under the wire, the 636 area code, man. You just beat the bell. What's going on?
Thanks, Gabe. This is John again.
What's up, John?
First off, I want to shout out Dr. Tiger Tooth because I got to take a picture with his little brother after the game.
Okay.
But my question to you is about Sam Horn, and maybe somebody's asked this already, but if Drink really does open up the quarterback position to a true quarterback competition to pick a new quarterback coming in, does he have a shot of winning? Because I assume he's probably going to play baseball at his high school.
Correct.
But does he have a shot of winning it in fall camp, or are we probably looking at one of these three guys on the roster right now taking the first snap next year?
He's going to get a shot. Now, I think it would be really difficult to come in and, I mean, he'll be here in June. It won't be August. He'll come in June for the entire summer and all that. So I think he'd have a shot. I think the staff would love to see him come in and be the best quarterback on campus and win the job. It's not going to be easy. I wouldn't predict it, but, yeah, they'll give him a look. And if he comes in and proves he's the best guy, I don't think they'll hesitate to put him out there next year.
All right, well, that gives me some hope. Last question. What's your I'm going to put you under the gun here.
Okay.
What's your guess with two games left to play? What's the record that the team ends the regular season with?
I'd say they'll win one and lose one. I think they'll end up 6-6, go to, I don't know, whatever bowl game that would get them. I'm not even sure which one. I'd say it's more likely they beat Florida and lose to Arkansas. Because I think Arkansas is gonna kind of have some. They're really gonna be waiting for that game, but I'd say beat Florida, lose to Arkansas, end up 6-6 would be my best guess.
4 weeks ago, I would have paid a decent amount of money for 6-6, so I'll take it. Thanks,
Perfect.
Dave. Have a good night.
John, appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot, and thanks to all you guys that called and were part of the show. Again, this show it's about what you guys want to talk about. This is we pivoted to this last year, and it's much better to have you guys getting to talk about what you want to talk about, ask what you want to ask about, than it is us just kind of deciding what we think you should want to hear, right? So appreciate everybody that made the show really active tonight. I mean, we went over an hour and a half, and it was nonstop phone calls. That's what we like. Me just sitting here making stuff up and blowing hot air doesn't do anybody any good. So appreciate everybody that called, everybody that was in the comments, and I know that we didn't necessarily get a lot of the comments on the screen because we're busy with phone calls and all that, but always like you guys having a chat going on the side there, and certainly see a lot of the same names week in and week out. Appreciate you guys being here. Appreciate one more time Boulevard for being a part of it. So go on over to Power Mizzou, check out Mitch's coverage and my coverage coming forward the rest of the night, and we will be back on Monday with the weekend recap. But plenty of stuff tonight and all day tomorrow on the site. Only thing I know, it's going to be done by 7:20 because I got more football to watch on Sunday night. So thanks for hanging out, guys. We will talk to you later. Signing off here on the Boulevard Brewing Company post-game drink.